This guy mutilated his hands to save $1 trillion reactor. 24 hours later, the billionaire he saved had him beaten in an alley on livestream, while the same people who called him a hero yesterday filmed it for content. The comments roll in real time. Deserved El Mau. Karma hits different when you're a thief. Bro really thought he was the main character skull. 2 million people watching. Nobody calls for help. The viewer count climbs every second. That man is Jin, and he is the genius behind the company's success. But right now, he is just Kang's stepping stone. Inside, director Kang stands at the center of the most expensive party in human history. The Global Clean Energy Summit, with every camera on Earth pointed at him. Politicians, tech billionaires, K-pop idols who showed up for the photo ops. He raises one hand. 2,000 of the most powerful people alive go quiet like he commanded the ocean. Tonight, he says, with the confidence of a man who's never been questioned by anyone who mattered, humanity transcends fossil fuel dependency. This reactor core is my life's work, my legacy to the world. The applause shakes the building. Someone in the front row actually tears up. The livestream chat explodes like a BTS concert. 20 feet away, through the service door, Jin is face down in a puddle. Security dragged him out here 10 minutes ago. His hands are wrapped in gauze so blood-soaked, it looks like he dipped them in red paint. Kang's personal assistant stands over him in shoes that cost more than Jin's monthly salary, holding a manila folder. He drops it. Fabricated bank records, doctored emails, photos of Jin with equipment bags he's never touched. A complete fraud case built by people who had months to prepare, spilling into the dirty water around Jin's face. Then the assistant steps down, full weight, directly onto Jin's bandaged fingers. The sound Jin makes isn't quiet. His face goes back into the mud. The back doors slam open. A flood of gala attendees pours into the alley. Phones already live, streams running. Oh my God, it's actually him. The corporate thief, right here behind the building. A woman in a gown that probably has its own insurance policy squeals, angling her phone for a shot. Chat, you are not going to believe this. The guy who tried to steal from director Kang is literally getting arrested 20 feet from the stage. Her viewer count jumps from 300 to 15,000 in 40 seconds. A board member Jin worked with for 3 years pushes to the front, looks down at Jin in the mud. Look at those hands, he says, loud enough for everyone. Guess crime really doesn't pay. Laughter spreads through the crowd. Someone kicks dirt at Jin's face. He flinches, tries to push himself up, but he slips and goes back down. The laughter gets louder. Someone starts a slow clap, and it catches on. A tech influencer with 2 million followers goes fully live. Guys, I'm literally watching karma happen in real time. This is better than any K-drama I've ever seen. The comments flood. Deserved 100 points. He looks like the villain from a romance anime who gets rejected in episode 2 El Mau. The slow clap is sending me. Jin looks up from the mud. At faces he trusted, colleagues he covered for during failed experiments, people whose careers survived because of decisions he made quietly. Every one of them has a phone in his face, and nobody reaches down. The reactor leak started at 11:47 p.m. during final pre-launch testing. A primary coolant valve shattered under pressure. Liquid nitrogen flooded the chamber, the kind of cold that turns exposed skin into something it can't come back from. Every scientist in the building ran. Jin wrapped a maintenance cloth around his hands and walked straight into the cloud. He couldn't see and could barely breathe, but he found the manual override valve by touch, grabbed the metal wheel, and turned it. Runoff hit his palms immediately. He felt his skin going, but kept turning and lost more skin. He kept turning until the alarm stopped and the gas dropped, and only his breathing remained. Jin walked out with his hands destroyed and sat down against the wall to wait. Kang arrived 11 minutes later with tears already rolling. Perfect tears, the kind you develop through repetition until they arrive exactly when you need them. He dropped to his knees, pulled off his designer coat, wrapped it around Jin's shaking shoulders, held his face in both hands. "You saved my life's work, Jin." His voice cracked exactly where it needed to. "You are like a son to me. Tomorrow, the world will finally know your genius." Jin believed every word. When someone holds your face while you're bleeding for their company, when they call you family while you're sitting in smoke with destroyed hands, you believe them. It's the same reason the ending of your name still destroys people on the 5th rewatch. The betrayal always hits hardest when you handed over the knife yourself. The crowd behind the venue has doubled. Someone started a hashtag, and it shot up to the top of trending list in 11 countries. Jin sits in the rain, blood washing slowly from his knuckles, while strangers turn his lowest moment into content. His phone vibrates against his leg. He'd embedded a diagnostic diagnostic microphone in the reactor's firmware months ago. Standard documentation habit. He'd forgotten it was running until this exact moment. He taps the screen with a shaking finger. Kang's voice comes through clean, over champagne and laughter from the VIP lounge backstage. The boy actually thought I cared about him. He's a tool just like his mother. I took her raw data 20 years ago to build my wealth, and I took his today to secure my legacy. The Vance name is nothing but a stepping stone. More laughter, more glasses clinking. Jin sits in the rain listening to his mentor celebrate the performance. The crowd keeps filming. The comments keep rolling. 2 million people watching a man in the mud. Completely unaware, they're witnessing the exact moment he decides to stop enduring and start engineering. No misunderstanding, no missing context. Kang stole from Jin's mother 20 years ago, built an empire on it, waited for the son to produce something worth taking, then took that too. He needs money for medical supplies, basic antibiotics to stop the nerve damage in his hands from becoming permanent. He finds a repair shop with a help wanted sign, walks in, explains his situation to the owner, who seems genuinely uncertain at first, but actually listens and starts nodding. Then the phone rings. The owner picks up, listens for 15 seconds. His expression changes completely, the way a door closes. He puts the phone down, looks at Jin, and his voice drops flat. "That was Kang's office," he says. "They've been calling businesses in this district all week. Whoever hires you loses their supplier contracts. Lease gets flagged. Permits go under review." He pauses. "I need you to apologize for wasting my time and leave." Jin looks at him. "Apologize? My family eats because of those contracts." The owner picks up his phone, opens the camera. "Say it on camera so they know I handled it properly. Look right at the lens and say you're sorry for bringing your trash into my shop." Jin looks into the camera, says the words, walks out. The owner uploads it within the hour. Caption, "Handled it. Kang Global, we're still standing with you." 14,000 likes by the end of the day. Jin goes back to his apartment building to find his life in a heap on the sidewalk. Furniture smashed, equipment destroyed, clothes scattered across wet pavement, his laptop in pieces, 3 years of personal research notes soaked through and dissolving. What stops him is the fire. Someone has started a trash fire at the sidewalk's edge. His mother's handwritten research journals are in it. 30 years of original work, equations she spent her life developing. The physical record of intellectual property Kang stole to build his first company. Jin can see her handwriting on the edges of pages curling black and disappearing. A corporate thug in a tailored suit stands nearby, poking the burning pages with a steel rod to make sure they catch properly. He notices Jin staring. "Director Kang wants a clean slate," the thug says like he's explaining office filing. "Loose ends create liability." He slaps Jin across the face hard enough to turn his head, then straightens his jacket and walks away. Jin stands in the rain watching his mother's handwriting burn. He doesn't move toward the fire. He stands close enough to feel the heat on his ruined hands and memorizes the thug's face with the focus of someone filing it away for later. That evening, his former lab partner posts a video. 11 minutes, professional lighting, clean desk. He's wearing the Rolex Jin bought him for his birthday 2 years ago. The same guy who used to eat dinner at Jin's apartment when he couldn't make rent. "I've been hesitant to speak publicly," he opens. "Always how you know someone has been waiting for exactly this moment. But as someone who worked closely with Jin Vance, I feel a responsibility to the scientific community." He thanks Director Kang for his decisive leadership, calls Jin psychologically unstable, consumed by jealousy, a parasite who exploited everyone around him for years. He even tears up at one point. The video hits 1 million views overnight. You can literally see the instability in his eyes. Classic dark triad behavior honestly. He gives off the same energy as the obsessive second lead in a romance anime who can't accept rejection. Anyone who's spent time on Manhwa Origins has seen this exact character before. The loyal friend who stays loyal until loyalty stops being profitable, then pivots so fast he gives himself whiplash and calls it integrity. The Rolex on his wrist in that video is doing more talking than he realizes. Jin finds a room barely bigger than a storage closet. Thin walls, a door that sticks, rent he can cover with delivery shifts. At the bottom of his salvaged belongings, wrapped in a shirt that survived the fire, is a small black hardware drive his mother left him years ago. Encrypted, biometric scanner, a note in her handwriting taped to the back. "When you need it, open it, don't show Kang." He presses his thumb to the sensor, fingerprint unrecognized, skin integrity insufficient. His destroyed skin can't pass the scan. Whatever his mother thought was important enough to hide from a man she already knew was dangerous. It stays locked. Jin wraps it back up, puts it in his jacket, and goes to find work. Kang's son finds him on a Tuesday, the newly appointed VP, a position earned through the rigorous process of sharing DNA with the right person. Exits a private dinner with people who all look like they invoice for breathing the same air. air as you. He spots Jin at the bottom of the marble steps with a delivery container. Something shifts in his face, the specific pleasure of finding something you can step on without it costing you anything. He walks down, drives his foot straight into the container, and the food explodes across pristine white marble. The son reaches into his pocket, pulls out a handful of loose change, slaps it directly against Jin's face. The coins hit his cheek and scatter across the pavement. The nameless son leans down, close enough that Jin can smell the expensive dinner on his breath. Clean it up. Consider it a tip for your outstanding service. He drops his voice lower. Not even gonna bark. My dad was right. You really are just a dog. His dinner companions watch from the top of the steps. One films, another laughs openly. Jin looks at the coins on the ground, at the ruined delivery, at the son's face, the face of someone who has genuinely never considered that actions produce consequences. He kneels down and starts picking up the food, counts the coins as he goes. 47 cents. He'd remember that number when it was time to calculate interest. His companions follow the son to the car. One uploads the video before the door closes. POV. You tried to rob my dad and now you're cleaning up my dinner. 200,000 views in 4 hours. If the son had ever watched a single video on Manhwa origins, he'd know that throwing loose change at the man who architected your entire digital infrastructure is just writing your own bankruptcy petition and signing it with a smile. Kang Global launches a budget battery line that same week. Defective cells that die within 4 months. 2-star reviews flooding every platform. They name it the Vance Legacy Project, subtitled The Failed Legacy Reimagined. Jin's mother's name on a product designed to fail, marketed so anyone searching her name finds mediocrity first. Her equations powered Kang's first billion. Her name now sells batteries that stop working before the warranty card expires. Jin stares at the advertisement, at her name, at what they made of it. He pays for his food, walks back to his room, then sits down and picks up the hardware drive. His thumb touches the scanner. The light turns green. 30 years of careful preparation opens in front of him. Offshore accounts structured through 7 jurisdictions. Patent records Kang never located. Private documentation of every theft, every stolen equation, every data transfer Kang thought he'd buried. A parallel financial architecture his mother built in the shadows, over 3 decades in the spaces Kang never thought to look. At the top of the directory, a single text file. Kang is a thief. He always has been. Whatever he took from you. And he will take something, because that's all he knows how to do. Know that I already built the weapon. Be patient, be precise. Make sure he never sees you coming. Jin reads it twice, then opens a terminal. He spent 4 years building Kang Global's server infrastructure from the inside. Knows every corridor, every junction, every system dependency. He left a backdoor in the architecture 18 months ago during routine maintenance. The same redundancy instinct that made him document everything. That made him leave a microphone running in a reactor core. That made him the kind of engineer Kang needed badly enough to steal from twice. 11 seconds. 1 command sequence. Operational rights to Apex Grid. The utility management framework Kang's billion-dollar engine needs to scale. The backbone without which the global launch is just a very expensive light switch with nowhere to go. Transfer quietly to a shell company funded by accounts Kang has never heard of. Controlled by a man last seen kneeling on marble steps. Picking up loose change. Jin closes the terminal and leans back. The son who threw 47 cents at his face doesn't know. The crowd that filmed him in the mud doesn't know. The 47 countries waiting for the global launch don't know. Kang, sleeping right now with the certainty of a man who's never lost anything he wanted to keep, doesn't know. Jin owns the socket. The entire empire is plugged into infrastructure he controls. All he needs now is for Kang's ego to do what Kang's ego has always done, perform for the cameras. His phone buzzes, breaking news notification. Director Kang announces demolition of historic Vance Research Laboratory to build private executive helipad. Ceremony scheduled for launch day. Jin reads it once, sets the phone face down on the desk. Then he smiles, the kind of smile that has nothing to do with happiness, and goes to sleep. Jin wakes up the next day and reads the demolition announcement twice, sets his phone down, and opens his terminal. Time to pull the trigger. A few days before launch, Kang's billion-dollar engine starts glitching. A power fluctuation during a board demonstration that makes executives shift uncomfortably. A temperature spike in the primary relay that vanishes when engineers investigate. Load balancing errors at 2 a.m. that nobody can trace. Jin is throttling the lines surgically, loosening one bolt at a time, while Kang builds his empire on top of it. 8 months ago, Jin found the structural flaw buried in Kang's core blueprints. When Kang ignored his warning and dismissed it as over-engineering paranoia, Jin didn't argue. He spent all the time he had quietly embedding a backdoor in the network grid, hiding it inside routine maintenance updates, waiting for Kang's ego to construct a billion-dollar empire on a cracked foundation. Kang's response is immediate and predictable. He calls a press conference. We have identified evidence of ongoing cyber-sabotage by the unstable former employee Jin Vance. This is criminal behavior from someone who cannot accept accountability. A federal warrant drops that afternoon. Cyberterrorism charges designed to sound catastrophic in headlines and disappear in court 18 months later. Jin intercepts the filing between delivery routes, reroutes the IP trail through 17 nodes, and deposits it cleanly onto the son's personal laptop. From the federal system's perspective, every attack originated from inside Kang's own secure network. That evening, junior intern Soo-yeon commits career suicide. HR slides a prepared statement across the table, a lie declaring she personally witnessed Jin accessing restricted servers. The pen is already uncapped. Soo-yeon reads it twice. Sets the pen down. I won't sign something I didn't witness. They fire her immediately. Revoke her scholarship, the one her family restructured their finances around. Her access card dies before she reaches the elevator. She sits on a bench outside with her belongings box, crying in the dark. Her phone buzzes, unknown number. Coffee shop on Uedo, 20 minutes, come alone. Jin slides a black corporate card across the table before she sits down. Your tuition is covered through graduation, he says quietly. You're also now primary shareholder of Apex Grid. Hold that information for 2 days. Soo-yeon stares at the card with shaking hands. Why are you helping me? Because you did what nobody else in that building did, Jin says. You told him no. The Global Innovator ceremony happens the next night. Kang wins, takes the stage to thunderous applause. Then he improvises cruelty. He gestures to production. The 50-foot screen cuts to Jin's employee photo, the same one from the corporate thief campaign. I dedicate this award to every innovator who's had their work stolen, Kang says, voice dripping false warmth. Let this face remind us parasites exist. Accountability matters. The audience applauds his righteousness. Jin watches from his room, checks his terminal one final time, and goes to sleep. Launch morning, Kang announces the demolition on live television. The old Vance Research Laboratory will become a private executive helipad, he says, stirring coffee like discussing weekend plans. The structure has historical significance to no one relevant. That evening, Jin walks through the gala's service entrance in a catering uniform. Kang's assistant specifically requested Jin's crew. They want him pouring wine for the board members who destroyed him. Jin moves between tables, keeps his head down, serves champagne to people who voted to blacklist him. 40 minutes before the switch flip, Kang spots him across the ballroom. He raises his glass and looks directly at Jin, and mouths 2 words. You lose. Jin looks straight into the primary broadcast camera feeding 47 countries. Taps his phone once, then takes a slow sip from a clean glass. Kang takes the stage to applause that shakes the building. He wraps both hands around the ceremonial golden switch. For humanity's future, he declares. He flips it. The engine surges to maximum capacity in 0.3 seconds. Hits the mathematical threshold Jin calculated months ago. The system reaches out to Apex Grid for stabilization. Apex Grid denies the request. Fires a hard-coded safety override back into the core. 4 seconds later, every screen in the ballroom cuts, not to black, to audio. Jin's recording from the reactor microphone broadcasts through every speaker in the building. Every news feed, every livestream on Earth. The boy actually thought I cared about him. Kang's champagne-slurred voice fills the dead-silent ballroom. He's a tool just like his mother. I took her raw data 20 years ago to build my wealth, and I took his today to secure my legacy. The engine shuts down safely. The gala plunges into darkness while the rest of the city stays bright. In that darkness, 2,000 of the world's most powerful people sit in complete silence, processing that they just applauded a man confessing to decades of theft on live television. Board members who voted to destroy Jin watch their phones as Kang Global's stock price begins its freefall. Investors who celebrated his accountability watch portfolios evaporate in real time. The senator who endorsed his integrity campaign starts calculating damage control. Nobody moves, nobody speaks. They just watch numbers fall. Federal agents walk in with flashlights while the recording plays. They didn't show up because of the audio. They were already outside deploying a coordinated raid. Based on the cyberterrorism data trail Jin had planted on the Sun's laptop weeks earlier. The broadcast just ensured that when handcuffs appeared, Kang couldn't buy his way out of the spotlight. 2 teams split. One heads for the Sun near the exit. The lead team approaches Kang. Kang sees them coming and tries to preserve his dignity. "Turn that off," he hisses, gesturing at the speakers. "It's an AI deepfake, coordinated digital sabotage." Jin steps into an emergency spotlight near the service station, still in the catering uniform. "The microphone is embedded in the reactor's firmware," Jin says, cutting through the room. "Cryptographic signature on every audio packet, timestamp verified against your own server logs." He pauses. "You'd need to prove your own machine was compromised. Your engineers signed off on it. Your name is on the patents." Kang's composure cracks. "My mother didn't plan this," Jin continues, holding Kang's gaze across the dark ballroom. "She left a warning that you were a thief. I engineered the honey trap. I let you spend billions building an unstable machine, knowing your ego would force you to flip the switch on live television. You didn't lose to a ghost, you lost to me." The handcuffs click shut while Kang processes the sentence. Near the exit, agents tackle his son. They make him empty his pockets on the marble floor. 47 cents scatters across the ground, like the same coins he slapped against Jin's face, now evidence in a federal investigation. Back in his room that night, Jin sits with his mother's encrypted drive. His destroyed skin couldn't pass the biometric scan 6 weeks ago. It took agonizing nerve regeneration and scraping away dead scar tissue with a razor blade before the sensor finally recognized his prints. The drive had unlocked just as Kang's empire began its final collapse. Now Jin places it carefully in a drawer, its purpose fulfilled. Kang Global's stock hits zero before Asian markets open. Jin buys the liquidated empire using offshore accounts Kang never knew existed. He dissolves the brand completely, every patent, every subsidiary restructured under one name, Vance. Suyeon gets her scholarship reinstated, her firing reversed, and a permanent position heading Apex Grid operations. Jin sits in the top-floor office that used to belong to Kang. His mother's research journals, printed, bound, and restored from the encrypted drive, sit at the center of the desk. Outside the window, the city runs on power flowing through infrastructure he owns. Somewhere in federal holding, Kang explains himself to Walls. His son learns what 47 cents actually buys. Jin opens the first journal to his mother's handwriting. The ledger is balanced. Every equation she developed, every patent Kang stole, every year of work he erased, returned, attributed, permanent. He doesn't smile this time. He doesn't need to. He just reads. If you like this, then subscribe for more unique manhwas you can't find anywhere else.